When you're sad and blue and everything is putting you down, you know the world keeps spinning around. You know you're not alone.
Yes, with MS, the world keeps spinning around, but you're not alone. Welcome to the 10 Minutes for MS podcast, in which we share information about MS in just 10 minutes. In this episode, I am glad to welcome Dr. Benjamin Benulis, a chiropractor from Arizona. Dr. Benjamin, thank you very much once again for joining us here on 10 Minutes for MS show. And today we want to discuss a very important topic with you, which I know most of us, or in fact, I can say every one of us has gone through. So someone who is newly diagnosed with MS or any other chronic illness for that matter, the first thing they want to alter their diet, they have a list of do's and don'ts. And sadly, don'ts is a very long, elaborate list, whereas do's is like really short, which makes a person baffled and confused on what to eat, what not to eat, and a person gets depressed. People like me, food is not just for living, it is also an emotional attachment. When you eat something, you feel happy. And then today, I want to ask you about how can you actually help us, understand this do's and don'ts better?
Sure. So definitely it can be shocking, first of all, to get the diagnosis. But, also some relief. It's like, okay, this was going on for a while. Now I know what's going on.
Yes.
And then we come across these different diets and they all have labels about like, well, I'm a vegan, so I can't eat animal products, or I'm gluten-free, so I can't eat gluten, or I can't have nightshades, or I can't have sugar, or I can't this and I can't that, and I can't. And so what most people do is they imagine their existing diet like with all the fun stuff taken out.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, okay, I got to just eat like carrot sticks and lettuce and raisins. Like this is like no fun. And what they don't see usually is all the things that they've never tried before or haven't really been eating that they can the do's, right? They haven't thought of, because they're thinking in this lack mindset of like, I'm this free and I'm that free and I can't have this and I can't have that and I have to, not eat at this time, and all just the don'ts. They're so overwhelmed by the don'ts that they don't even look at the do's. So what I like people to do is take an approach of, okay, I'm going to eat a whole food plant-based diet with lots of fruits and vegetables. That's what I want to focus on. Oh, I've never tried, golden honeydew melon before. I've never tried witch finger grapes. I've never tried pink lady apples. Yeah. I've never tried yellow watermelon. That they realize that there's all these foods out there that they've never tried. Figs. So many people have never had figs. So many people have never had fresh dates. And there's so many foods out there that they haven't tried. And when they work on just including all these new things and work on just including as many whole plant foods as they can, especially in the beginning, just doing the best they can and just trying new stuff out of the grocery store, buying lots of fruits and vegetables, making sure that they eat it, that they focus on just inclusion of new stuff and tasty, healthy stuff, that eventually they by default, they kind of crowd out the bad stuff and they eat less of it. And it was never about like, oh, I got to try to eat less gluten. It's like, no, try to eat more tangerines, and try to eat, more bananas and try to eat more lettuce. And that's what you focus on. You focus on abundance instead of like this lack of what you can't have. The whole process becomes much more joyful, much more fun. No one wants to think in terms of lack. It gets you nowhere. And all of a sudden, like having MS sounds like, better than never eating anything good tasting again. Yes. It doesn't have to be that way.
So after listening to you, I think it's not much of a do's and a don'ts. It's much of your approach. Like you said, you don't have to see that you have a long list of don'ts, but you have a list of do's and probably you have not tried things. What do you think about the seeds and the dry fruits that we get, the walnuts and almonds, cashew nuts? Are all those options healthy, or there are certain kinds of nuts that we should also avoid?
I think they're healthy in small amounts.
Okay.
You definitely, there's people that will go, oh, I'm a vegan or I'm a raw foodist, so I'm going to make a pizza pie out of cashews, right? And like use cashews as the bread and use cashews as the cheese. And, they're eating like 2 pounds of cashews in a sitting. That's not healthy. Cashews don't really make a meal.
Right.
It should be about a handful a day, like enough to, if you eat about this much, that's a healthy amount. You tend to like snack on nuts or, eat like a lot of them is not so good for you. But in about a handful a day is a good amount. Anything over that is probably too much fat. And, if these things are salted, definitely too much salt. Dried fruit is great for convenience. Like if you're going on a hike or some kind of thing where you can't carry a bunch of fresh fruit,
Right.
It's a good option, but fresh is always going to be better. You can do it as a snack, but it shouldn't be a staple thing. It should really be more, it's dried for convenience in a situation where you can't bring fresh fruit. I would really promote fresh fruit over dried fruit for a number of reasons. Caloric density, the dried fruit isn't good on your teeth. You got to make sure you have really good oral hygiene if you're eating dried fruit. Convenience when you absolutely need it, but fresh fruit's definitely better than dried. And then for dried things like grains and legumes, I think that's the best way to get them as opposed to like buying them in a can or pre-cooked. I think it's much healthier to get the dried version and cook it at home rather than get some sort of like pre-cooked or pre-processed version.
I know, because nowadays people have their busy lifestyle and they don't want to cook much. I can see the trend is going towards having canned foods, canned soups, and canned beans more, and dried fruits more than the fresh ones. So that's how I think the world is changing and advancing towards. But yeah, like you said, fresh is always a better. So better take out some time and make yourself fresh food so that it really gives you those kinds of benefits that is required for your body. Doctor, the other question which I have is about sugar. So like we take fruits, and some of the fruits are very high in natural sugars, of course. What is your opinion on those kinds of fruits?
Sure. That's a great question. And I think there's a lot of confusion around that one. I'm a big fan of fruit. And like I said, I mentioned I eat a lot of it. I don't think there's any upper limit on how much fruit. The science is pretty clear that the more fruit you eat, the better health results you're going to get. And some people say, oh, well, something like pineapple or mango is very high in sugar. It's supposed to be, okay? If it's occurring with the fiber, okay, if you have sugar and fiber in a package called fruit, that's going to be healthy because the fiber is going to slow the absorption of the sugar into the bloodstream. So it's never going to adversely affect your blood sugar to eat too much fruit. It's always going to be health promoting. And if eating too much fruit or too much high sugar fruit was bad for you, I would be very sick because I've been doing that for 10 years. Conversely, processed sugar, if it's in candy or it's in soda pop or it's in baked goods, is very unhealthy, okay? Because the fiber's been removed and the constituent nutrients have been removed. And so now you have the substance with no nutrition, and it actually ends up being kind of toxic. So, if you drink Coca-Cola, there's no fiber. So you drink it, the sugar goes right into your bloodstream and causes a blood sugar spike, causes an insulin spike, which causes a lot of negative health effects. But it's the same thing. If you eat 5 mangoes, there might be, as much sugar as in half a glass of Coca-Cola. Well, there's fiber there now, and that's slowing the absorption of the sugar so that you never get those problems that the Coca-Cola causes. So refined sugar, totally different behavior in the body than fruit sugar in its whole form. Now, if you do something like take a fruit and you juice it, you remove the fiber, and then you drink that, well, you're going to get a similar effect to Coca-Cola. It's not the same. But when you're eating it in its whole form, or you're blending it, you don't have anything to worry about that you would worry about with refined sugar.
Thank you, Doctor, for all your advices here. And it was a pleasure having you again on the show. We can meet later on to discuss further more topics. Thank you. Thank you, warriors, for being with us. I hope you found this session useful. We will be back again next week with another informative session. So don't forget to subscribe and reserve just 10 minutes for MS.
You know you're not alone.